sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AIM Impact on Your Health. AIM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AIM Impact on Your Health, heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AIM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, it is a Friday. It is a Friday version of the show. We switched a little bit of gears today. We are opening it up to you today. Anything on your mind is okay with me. However, I do bring a topic to you, one that has caught my interest. I search the blogs high and low all the time, and let me just say, memory loss issues are becoming very much written about on the blogosphere, and a new element brought to my attention, one that I now bring to you. I always share what I learned, and if you've got somebody that you know who's slipping, and if you know what I mean by slipping with respect to memory issues, just doesn't seem to be on top of their game anymore, let me just tell you, there's a whole raft of information now pointing to some of the stuff he's taken, some of the even over-the-counter meds he's taken, that may very well be the complete cause of that slippage. Anyway, if you think you got somebody in mind, get a list of all their meds. Get their meds in front of you. I'm going to be going over quite a list today of well-known problems when it comes to provoking memory loss, which actually isn't the dreaded Alzheimer's at all. It's nothing more than a reaction to the meds they're taking, many of which, as I say, are over-the-counter. Look, we can be on that topic today. We can be on any topic you'd like today. Anything on your mind is okay with me. The number to do that, if you've got a mind to take over the show, is 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. And, of course, I will give that number additionally throughout the hour. So let's see how the rest of the month is shaping up. On Monday, we'll get Diabetic Week coming up next week, and that Alan Ridgway, previous guest on our show, maybe it's been about a year ago now since Alan's been with us, but Alan's our diabetic guy here at the office, meaning that any diabetic we have, we hook Alan and the diabetic up to get all of their diabetic supplies handled. We also want to get them the orthopedically designed and actually custom-made form-fitted shoes, which insurances cover. And so we always like to bring Alan back every so often to let you, the diabetic, know that he's here to help. And he'll be talking about, by the way, I saw the new catalog, gave me a copy of it. These things are talking about the shoes now, getting quite stylish and no longer looking like work shoes. I think the earlier ones that were made by the industry did have that connotation, but not anymore. We'll let Alan talk to you about that on Monday when he spends the entire hour with us on diabetics and the supplies they may need. So if you are diabetic or if you know one, you'll want to give us a shout and a holler and be with us on Monday. Then on Wednesday, something brand new. You know me, I always like to bring brand new things to you. One of the kind of elements, and we're going to be doing just that on Wednesday when we bring to you the supplier and the inventor of something now known as the RTD dressings. Apparently, these dressings are taking the hospital realm over by storm, that it is becoming the hottest item in the operating room. Surgeons are utilizing these RTD dressings, not just on diabetics. They're using these dressings on any surgical wound that was provoked during the surgery. orthopedic, non-orthopedic, you name it, and the results are just stunning with respect to the lack of infections when used in an operating room environment. But we bring them to you in the course of having a week of discussion on diabetes, because if there's any person who has issues with wounds that get out of hand, out of control, lead to some gangrenous situations, and potentially, and all too unfortunately, frequently lead to amputations. Anyway, we say in the medicine cabinet home, you need to have RTD dressings. I found out what the R, the T, and the D mean. They mean Retro Tech Dressings. The inventor of the dressing, who lives in Utah, is going to be up and willing to participate in our show. There's quite a story behind the development of this dressing. They are brand spanking new. They're literally covered by all the insurances throughout the entire insurance industry realm of Western Pennsylvania. And so Kurt Domkowski, the supplier, and a gentleman by the name of Tom Jarvis, who actually invented the RTD dressing, is going to be with us as our guest on the 23rd. We'll be talking about that. I'm trying to make a way for those, because this is a prescription item. There's a way that we can get these dressings in your hands so that you can have them in your medicine cabinet and be able to protect yourself and your family with any kind of wound that may develop, instead of just placing the standard Band-Aid on the wound, which admittedly acts as a barrier, but literally reflects all of the toxic materials into the wound, as opposed to what I understand the RTD dressings do, which literally draw all microbes and toxic elements out of the wound and into the dressing itself. The dressing can then be discarded. I think I've got that much down. Anyway, Kurt Domkowski, Tom Jarvis going to be our guest next week on Wednesday. Now, we got to tell you, I've been mentioning the MCG apparatus for quite some time. We had opened up this to the public. We have to cancel. We have to completely forget about the 24th. Many of you had called us to sign up to get the MCG testing done in the office. It has been postponed indefinitely. Just keep staying tuned to this station for further updates on it. But those of you who had called and have signed up, we were going to get to you by phone anyway, but if you're listening to my voice today, on the 24th, the MCG testing that had been scheduled is now postponed, has not been rescheduled. We'll get back to you on that in the up-and-coming future. Now, on the 28th, we'll bring a new guest to you. His name is Houston Thomas. He's going to be talking about, well, certainly something we've discussed many times in the past. I'm always interested in getting a new slant. Why the tap water that is unsafe to drink? Geez, let me count the ways. I'm interested in hearing what Houston Thomas has to say about tap water and why you shouldn't drink it and why it would be unsafe. What do you say? Let me count the ways. Anyway, he's going to be our guest on the 28th to close out the month. Now, hot off the press from Sylvia, you should know that they've got their guests from March lined up, and everything's out of kilter up there in Butler. You know, normally Butler's Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy group meets every third Thursday. Well, according to what I got, the phone message left to me, that had to be changed in the month of March because of an event they had scheduled on the third Thursday. So get a load of this. Those of you who go up to the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy group, there has been a change. The change is that the featured speaker for the month of March is going to be there on the first Thursday of the month. You got to make the change on your schedule, folks. First Thursday of the month of March, still held at 7 o'clock, still held at the Days Inn in Route 8 of Butler. The guest, by the way, Dr. Emil K. Shandel. He's a PhD. Got his bio in front of me. It is quite extensive. It appears that his most prolific contribution is developing what? Developing the CA profile, also known as the cancer profile. A cancer profile, according to the literature I've got in front of me, can often detect the existence of cancer many years prior to the onset of physiological symptoms detectable by other methods. So, absolutely, I think his background is as a licensed clinical laboratory director in the areas of clinical chemistry, hematology, diagnostic immunology. He's a blood guy. He hangs out in the lab, and he's got a CA profile that he has developed. He also has developed something called a longevity profile, labeled as the most innovative biochemical full-body scan. Boy, I hope that doesn't mean using harmful X-ray, but we'll find that out. And it says it provides a more complete insight into an individual's health. Well, anyway, he's the featured speaker. He's going to be there on the 3rd of March. We're trying to schedule him. I got a slot open for him on the 2nd of March, so you can meet him here first, and then hook up with him again up there at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group after that. And that, my dear friends, is the way the schedule is lining up as it stands right now. Of course, more additions will be made as time moves on. Now, one thing that caught my eye, and I don't know if it caught yours or your ear, because I did hear this mentioned a couple of times on the various news shows that I watch, but Coca-Cola was in the news recently. It turns out the original recipe for Coke, which is, I don't know, my entire life, I can recall being told this is the best kept secret in the world. Nobody ever knows what's in the recipe for Coke. It's guarded all the time. They would never let it out. These are the kind of maybe fallacies I've been raised up and brought to my attention throughout my entire life. However, the original recipe supposedly has been found, folks, and this was big news today on the blog, as this was dated. It was posted February 15th, and I say Coca-Cola's original recipe, under wraps since 1886, has been revealed and uncovered by a group called This American Life. Maybe it's a publication, which reported the recipe had been hiding in plain sight since the 1970s in an Atlanta Journal-Constitution article, if you can believe it. Anyway, the article of the 1970s contained these as the original ingredients of what apparently is the original recipe for Coca-Cola. Let's see what goodies were originally contained in the 1886 formulation. Turns out that let's see, it had at least 1 ounce of caffeine in it, way over the mark what is permitted today. Crucial to the mix were the following ingredients behind what they called a 7X flavor formula, and that was made up of 7 items, and they went something like this. They included, and they were called the drink's backbone, things like orange, nutmeg, lemon, coriander, neroli, whatever that is, cinnamon oils, and I don't know how you get away with this one today, 8 ounces of alcohol. That was in the original Coke formula. And now here's the real piece of folklore. Did Coca-Cola originally contain cocaine? That has been the rub for years. I can remember being told that the original Coke did contain it, and I'll be doggone if it isn't mentioned right now. That was present in the name, say Coca in Coca-Cola, which is part of cocaine. Yes, was cocaine in some form, was an original ingredient of Coca-Cola. So there you have it. By the way, that's the 1886 formula. Nowadays, there's a plant in New Jersey where Coca-Cola manufacturers remove the cocaine from the coca leaf. Sometime that's been done, by the way, since 1903, the year that Coca-Cola nixed cocaine from its recipe. Increasingly, coca leaf is now being sold in South America as a serious health food, according to Salon magazine. And so that's the straight and skinny on the Coca-Cola formula. It happened to catch my ear when it caught my eye in the blog. Well, I thought I'd bring it to you. Hope you've enjoyed it. All right, let's do this. Let's take a short break. Folks, we've opened it up to you today. We're allowing you to come on in and set the agenda if you have a mind to. You got a question, you want to make a comment, any of our most recent guests on your mind, want to raise an issue of any of the new supplemental items we've been talking about here. We've been in a couple categories. Anything on your mind is okay with me. Also, too, memory loss issues we'll be discussing. Be back in a moment.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Oh, sorry. I gotta go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches. Soda, that's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit. Fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruit with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the Spirit's unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea. With no added sugars, Fruit of the Spirit's unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Friday version of the show. We have made it a Get 'em Up Out of Town version of the show. Warm weekend, folks. Hope you enjoy. I think this is wonderful. I hope you're having a good time with it. Yes, I enjoy skiing, and I just won't be able to do it this weekend, but I got a feeling we won't get through the remainder of February, and especially those first couple weeks of March without getting... We're going to get hammered again. I know it. I'm telling you, if you have issues with someone in your family who has memory loss concerns, I'm saying go round up the medications that he's been taking, he or she, because as it's turning out, it may very well be that those meds are playing a role in his cognitive. I keep saying his. I guess, I don't know why I keep relating that to this males instead of the females also. So it could be either one, but if you get a family member who's just starting to show some signs of it, I'm going to be going over a pretty long list of meds, many of which you don't even need a prescription for, that are now associated with memory loss. I'm going to do that in a minute. I'm giving you a chance to sort of round them up. One thing that caught my eye on the blogs, you had to hear about this one. An 84-year-old man says he survived 5 nights alone in the Arizona desert by eating leftovers, drinking windshield washer fluid, and praying. And he was speaking in a news conference at the John C. Lincoln North Mountain Hospital, where this gentleman, John Morello, said his car went into a ditch in the desert on February 7th after he made a wrong turn on his way home from a restaurant in some place called Cave Creek. And his cell phone didn't have any service initially, and then, of course, there wasn't any, then the battery went dead. The car battery, he said, also went dead. I mean, how many things have to line up in a bad way for you? He also said that he ate sparingly from a doggy bag of a restaurant that had leftover pasta, drank from the car's windshield washer reserve. What is in that stuff, by the way? Is it just isn't there ammonia? Isn't there ammonia in the windshield washer fluid? I don't know. The gentleman who's a Roman Catholic said he also prayed to St. Anthony, the patron saint of lost things, and last Saturday he was found by a group of hikers and taken to the Phoenix Hospital. Anyway, windshield washer fluid turned out to be life-sparing in this gentleman's case. Okay. We've opened it up to you today. Don't forget, anytime you want to call in and ask a question or make a comment, the number, as always, will be 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. Now, this issue of memory loss, we've done many shows on it. The issue of Alzheimer's, a scary thing for every single one of us. Going through the blogosphere, as I actually say I do each and every day, and I do, whenever something is published by Leo Galland, it catches my eye. Now, Leo, although he's not a personal friend of mine, I'm certainly well aware of him. He is a shining bright light. He's a medical doctor, a gastroenterologist. He's always showing up on panels all over the country having to do with gastrointestinal issues. This one, I admit, is a little out of stream for him, but the fact that Leo had his handprint on this caught my eye, and I'll share it with you today. In what I find to be explanations, correctable explanations for why people may be demonstrating memory loss issues. Now, I'll get to it in a minute, and I want you to have either a pen or a pencil so you can jot many of these down. When you hear them, you'll know them immediately. You may even recognize that a loved one of yours is taking them, and we'll get into how it can be that these seemingly harmless meds can provoke these memory loss issues. So, with that in mind, we do have a knock on the door. Why don't we let him in the store? Come on, hello, and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Hi, Dr. Courtney. How are you today?
Pretty good.
I have a question about AFib, and I'd like you to talk about it a little bit.
About AFib?
My doctor diagnosed me with AFib.
Okay.
My heart never races. It was slow and irregular.
All right.
And he put me on blood thinners.
Did he put you on Coumadin?
No, it's Praxa.
Pardon me?
It's a drug called Praxa, Praxa.
Okay.
And I was wondering how dangerous this is, and is there any other ways I can get around it? I'll just listen to you on the radio, okay?
Absolutely. The issue of AFib has come up a lot, where we certainly have raised it many times when we have Dr. James Roberts on our show with us, and I would recommend the caller so that he feels very good about what I'm about to say, looking for some reinforcement, some authority to be able to justify maybe exploring some other avenues of pursuit with respect to the treatment of AFib. AFib, of course, is an electrical problem within the atrium of the heart, where the atrium, the atrium contract, ventricles contract. When the atrium don't contract and just quiver instead, that condition is referred to as AFib. The ventricular rate is the key component in AFib, and so the first thing in AFib, and I think I just can pretty much sum up where the caller's status is, saying that his heart rate is relatively kept in check. It isn't racing, and that usually is the first concern when atrial fibrillation is discovered. What is the ventricular rate? These rates can get very high, and anything over 100 requires treatment. If the heart rate is below 100, where treatment is not necessary, then the other issue with AFib has always been the use of some form of anticoagulation. And this usually has come in the form of Coumadin, which in your case it appears that you have not been put on. Instead, it does appear that you've been placed on a platelet aggregation inhibitor, which I think is, in terms of drugs, a much less problematic way of dealing with anticoagulation. Coumadin actually stops any form of clotting from occurring. It will prevent clotting, and that in there lies the real danger with the use of Coumadin, because you have to have your clotting mechanism in the ready. If you should fall, if you should cut yourself, if you should hit your head, if you should begin bleeding, you must have an appropriate coagulation profile in order able to form a clot and prevent the bleeding from continuing. If you're on something called Coumadin, and I know you're not, and I'm thankful that your doctor hasn't placed you on it, but for those out there who have heard this discussion about Coumadin before, Coumadin is just too nasty to think that it should now be the treatment of course. In fact, we find out from Dr. James Roberts, who I now mention again, that there's a new grading system, a new protocol to follow, that if a patient has AFib and AFib alone, and no other concomitant problems such as previous heart attack, previous stroke, family history, things of this nature, if they just have developed AFib and they have no other history of anything else, Coumadin does not, I repeat, does not have to be utilized at all. The platelet aggregation inhibitors like Plavix, or the one that you mentioned, may very well do well and keep you in good stead. I would just say that there are as many good non-drug remedies to get platelet aggregation as there are drug remedies, and so I only pass on to you that in fact you should be considered taking the oils, the essential fatty acids. Fish oils would work, vitamin E would work, especially the tocotrienols, the gamma-tocopherols. This will place a layer of slime on the platelets that will not allow them to aggregate, will make them slippery, and certainly would be a good strategy to use in AFib. I suggest one additional thing, however, because if clots would ever happen to form in the atrium, and that's the big concern, that if a clot should form in the atrium, that it could end up being jettisoned toward the brain and actually cause a stroke. I would also suggest the use of one of the kinases. My particular choice is Belluca lumbrokinase as opposed to nattokinase, because I just don't find the nattokinases out there are adequate enough, are able to break up clots well enough. And these are mild clot busters, yes, but they are clot busters. And they are a very good non-drug, over-the-counter way of handling an issue that does not really, in most cases, require the use of Coumadin anymore. I'm not going to get into people who have had valve changes and things like that where Coumadin might very well be necessary. But talking about AFib, when AFib is only the only medical issue that's going on in this particular case, they don't have a history of any other concomitant illnesses, I think James Roberts has been quite clear about the use of about not using things like Coumadin. And then there is a new drug that's being tested. The last time we spoke with him, it had not been released yet. It is being considered for release, that he claims is going to be something that's going to change the complete anticoagulation realm out there. And as of right now, that protocol has not hit the airwaves. I haven't seen it. We'll probably hear it from James Roberts himself in the very near future. Okay, another knock on the door. Why don't you come right on in? What's on your mind? Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr.
Courtney.
Hi.
I have a question. I'm a patient of yours. I went through the protocol for weight loss,
Okay.
and it's been a
You
while.
talking about HCG?
Pardon?
You talking about HCG protocol? HCG?
Yeah, what's that?
Okay.
And so it's been a while since I've been on the program, and I'm gaining some.
Okay.
I'm wondering, how do I kickstart that again? Do I have to go through this from the beginning of the program?
Yeah, if you're talking about the HCG program, it's been, I'm going to say, it's been about 5 or 6 years. It's been about 5 or 6 years since we did that protocol together?
No, about 3.
Really? Okay. Well, let's just say this much, that as you should well know, there was, at the end of that protocol, a 2-pound sort of danger limit that was always placed in front of you, and the objective was that you were to keep yourself in the 2-pound range. How long were you able to do that, by the way?
Probably about 2 years.
Oh, that was very good. That was excellent. So let's just say this much. If you have placed a considerable amount of weight back on, the only way you can rescue this, in my opinion, because all of the mechanisms that were at play when we first met, they're back in play again, it's apparent to me. And even though I think you did very well, and if you kept that weight off for 2 years, that was really good. For you to be able to get back to, by the way, do you have a goal in mind? How much weight is it that you think you would like to lose?
Probably 25 to 30.
Okay. So you remember the rules of the HCG, which, by the way, folks, stands for human chorionic gonadotropin. This is the hormonal approach that was invented by Dr. Simeons in 1950 in Italy. And really isn't written about by many people. I think the resurrection of this came about by a gentleman named Kevin Trudeau, who was doing a number of infomercials like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. That's how I caught this initially. But once you have sort of wandered off the reservation and you need to lose an amount of that type, then I think it's safe to say you need to get back on the entire HCG protocol as it was originally described and as you originally did it. And once you, and as you well know, the HCG protocol uses a rule of 40 pounds in 40 days, whichever occurs first. You remember that rule?
Right.
Okay, so it looks as though you wouldn't even require the full 40 days of the entire protocol to get to your desired weight. And once you've arrived there, I just say, hey, you did great for 2 years by utilizing that 2-pound weight limit. I commend you for it, and you can do it once again and be able to hold that weight, maybe even longer this time. But in terms of losing that 25 from the right places, I think this is the biggest issue with the Simeons approach. Two issues really with Simeons approach for those who are listening to us now. One is there are always amounts of weight gain in places where when women talk to me, they go, I can't seem to lose weight here. Okay, and they'll point to their hips, their buttocks, you name it. It's their area or their stomach, and those areas are locked up. And with HCG, you can unlock those areas and make the weight loss occur from them. I thought that was always a bonus with an HCG approach. Did you find that to be the case when you originally lost your weight? Okay, so that holds up. The other thing with this was that in an attempt to try to reset the metabolic rate, I also find now, and this was not the case back when, that anyone who's seen me for weight loss at this point, the thyroid issues, which I believe always have to be addressed, is another key component to making certain that once the weight loss has finally been achieved, that as long as the thyroid issues have been completely corrected, that you have a better opportunity to make certain that you maintain the weight. And I don't believe that 3 or 4 years ago, however long it was, that we were together in terms of a treatment relationship, that there was any real emphasis on the thyroid as it is now. So I'd say that was one additional wrinkle that I'd add to the mix that we didn't have then. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the call. There you have it. Yeah, pretty fascinating diet, folks. You can go to the internet and read all about that HCG diet. Just write down Dr. Simeon, Simeons. The HCG diet, it was coined by him. He developed it. He was the weight loss physician to the royalty of Europe, as I have read about him. And if you showed up at his hospital in Italy and wanted to lose weight, and that's where you'd find him, he would say, why, of course, let me admit you to the hospital. Now remember, you're a completely healthy person, but you were admitted for 40 days, and over that 40 days, he supervised that weight loss with the use of the HCG. Anyway, quite an interesting story. Now, let's do this. To get back on track, and as promised, I'm going to go over a list of medications and some reasoning behind it. Somebody slipping in your family with respect to memory issues? Look, let's take a short break. When we come back, I promise to get right to it. A long list, many of them over the counter, that are well known and associated with memory loss. You gotta hear about this list. So let's take a short break. Be back in a moment with memory loss issues and medications to remove in order to correct it.
Have you been to the doctor lately? What's the big top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in a formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, the Through the Spirit. The blessings of Through the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith. Let Through the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Through the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Through the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call us now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you were looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health here on this Friday morning version of the show. It's a get 'em up out of town version of the show. We say, if you'd like to, give us a call and you can set the agenda. 412-825-6262 is the number to do that. That's 412-825-6262. And knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
Hi, I'll try to make it quick.
Uh-huh.
You were just speaking of infomercials with the Kevin Trudeau.
Kevin Trudeau,
and
yes.
I just saw a new one today.
From Kevin Trudeau?
Yes, but it was with Patrice King Brown.
Oh.
He was interviewing her husband, that Paul Nemiroff, and he has a brain formula now to enhance your memory. But I guess she left KDKA, and now she's promoting her husband.
I saw where it was like a week or she retired a week ago, right? It's like
yeah,
Last week, the week before?
Yeah, she just said she has other endeavors she's pursuing. Well, I guess that's it.
And so, I'm unfamiliar. Is her husband a physician?
Yeah, he used to be the correspondent on KDKA at Channel at 4 o'clock p.m. about maybe 8, 9 years ago.
Oh, okay.
The medical correspondent.
And you say it's Paul Nimiroff. And the name resonates with me. I think I can remember hearing the name. I can't put a face with it right now.
Yeah,
but okay, so that's...
You would recognize him.
And he's got a memory loss formula he's using, huh?
He has a vein support formula he sells on the shopping channel, and he has his Joint 88 arthritic topical gel you put on your arthritic joints. But he's in the he's really into the. In fact, his company is called Nutraceuticals. So.
Well, I'll be looking for that infomercial, and you know what? Maybe we'll get Dr. Paul Nimiroff on the show. How's that?
Yes, if he's from here, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it should be easy to get him, and.
Yeah, he's married to the Patrice King Brown, and I guess he travels everywhere with his products, and I guess that's where she's joining him.
Well, I'd expect you to come across something like that. I thank you for passing on to all of us.
Well, I had a quick question.
Go ahead.
It was about CoQ10. I know you always promote it, even for cognition and heart, cardiovascular. But this one, it's a different form. It's called CQQ. Whereas regular, ubiquinone and CoQ10, it helps the mitochondria. But this one actually generates new mitochondria within the cell. Is that possible?
Goodness gracious. Let's just say I've always learned to say that anything's possible. The name of the product, and you always do this to me. You make me, what's the name of the thing? I got to go looking for it now. What do you call it?
It's CQQ. Paul, Quarry. CQQ. I don't know. It's
okay.
And it stands for the long chemical name, but Life Extension is the company that says doing research on it.
They are a good
research. Within a couple years, I'd say, it'll be maybe more, more used. But I just wanted your opinion on it as far as getting.
Well, I've got no opinion. I've never heard. I mean, if there actually is something that can generate new mitochondria, it would absolutely be revolutionary.
I did that 10 years ago.
Well. All right, you brought me something as a teaser. I have to go looking. Thank you for the Paul Nimiroff thing and the Patrice King Brown thing too.
Okay.
Okay.
Then you'll report back on the CQQ.
Oh, I'll find it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You give me more homework assignments out there, folks, but I enjoy doing it. Now look, with respect to memory loss issues, when Leo Gallen speaks, I sort of always listen. Anyway, Leo was. Brought this article to my attention on something that's being referred to as MCI. You know how letters are in medicine, talking about mild cognitive impairment. Now, we're not talking about people who have obvious and profound Alzheimer's disease. But we're talking about people who are slipping a bit. And, we're seeing it. And we may be inappropriately labeling this as an early or ongoing Alzheimer's, when in fact it may not necessarily be that at all. Now follow with me on this, because I think there's quite a bit, at least in my practice, I will be always mindful of what I'm bringing to you now, and as I always do, I bring to you everything that strikes my fancy. But it's been well known that MCI, mild cognitive impairment, is produced by drugs of a certain category. The category is called anticholinergics, and I don't want to get very scientific with you. Let's just say that these anticholinergic drugs, which there are many, interfere and inhibit a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. So right there's your connection with neural activity, brain activity. If you're taking an anticholinergic, there would be a possibility and probability that you could have a memory and cognitive function side effect from that drug. Now, the category has been out there for years. Usually representatives of this category of anticholinergic follow or are found in the antispasmodic category of drugs. They're usually found in two kinds of medicines. Ones that are used to prevent intestinal cramping, and another that are used to inhibit bladder irritability. That's where the anticholinergics are found. And so, as a category, let's just say these drugs would be absolutely connected with memory loss because they truly are anticholinergics. Now, nobody uses, and I'm going through a list, I'm looking at one right now, nobody uses atropine anymore and belladonna. They're not being used, but I'll tell you what, these are. How about Bentyl, an antispasmodic, a very popular one for folks that have intestinal cramping that is frequent. With respect to urinary incontinence, there is a host of anticholinergics. You've heard of these, have you not? Urispaz is one. How about this? Ditropine. How about this? Vesicare. I see commercials for this every single night at home. Detrol. These are all the very most common forms of incontinence medications that are straight out of the anticholinergic category, and as such, there's not even a doubt of the role they may play in somebody who's having memory loss issues. So if you've got incontinence issues and you're taking medication for it, and you notice that that particular person is having some memory issues, it could very well be the medication only and not the onset of Alzheimer's. Now, we aren't confused by the fact that the anticholinergic group, the antispasmodic group, the anti-bladder group could cause it. But what is new is brought to us by a gentleman. His name is Dr. Jack Sao, and I'm pronouncing it, I think, correctly. It's spelled T-S-A-O. He addressed the American Academy of Neurology at their 60th meeting, and he says, hey, there are 17 additional types of drugs that have anticholinergic effects, but they're not considered anticholinergics at all. And because they have these anticholinergic effects, they can equally be as incriminating with memory loss as the anticholinergic drugs I just mentioned absolutely could provoke memory loss issues. And now let's start going down through a list. I think it gets quite revealing when you see all of the medicines that aren't in the anticholinergic category, but absolutely because of their anticholinergic properties can cause memory loss. Add two other components, and I think you begin to see, as I, a doctor, also see a picture emerging. The first issue is chronicity. People who take the medicines that I've just mentioned, and I'm now going to mention again with some new drugs, have taken them over many years. They don't just take them for a week. The things that I've mentioned already are ones that people take every single day, 5, 10, and 15 years. And so chronicity of the medicine itself tends to make it more memory altering in terms of their potential. And the second is age. You bring in advancing age along with the chronicity of taking the med, and now you do spell out a formula that actually could lead to some pretty drastic looking symptoms, having you conclude that it might be Alzheimer's, when in fact it does not have to be it at all. Here we go. Here's a long list of meds, folks. The category of meds, antihistamines. Boy, are they frequently over-the-counter. The majority of these are over-the-counter. Chlortrimeton. How about this one? Contact. Remember it? I think it used to be much more popular. It is now. I don't even think I've seen it on the shelves for a while. Here's one that I have seen on the shelf. Clarinex, Benadryl, Dramamine, usually used for motion sickness. And so if you have somebody who has dizzy spells, I could see them using Dramamine chronically. Atarax, Vistaril, Claritin, Antivert. Every single one of these antihistamines has anticholinergic properties, and as such, if you are seeing memory loss issues in a patient taking one of those meds over a long period of time, at least think that the med may be implicated and not necessarily jump to the fact that it is an Alzheimer's issue. How about this category of drugs? This one blew my mind. The antacid category of drugs. These are that large category of meds that are called H2 antagonists. How about this list? Have you heard of these? Tagamet, Pepsid, Axid, Zantac. Although they have relatively weak anticholinergic activity, they are associated with MCI in older adults, and in particular when chronicity, by chronicity I mean long-term use of any of those, and any one of those I can easily envision as being used long-term. Here's another category of drugs that have anticholinergic activities and should be absolutely considered as a possible link to why someone is having memory issues. They're in the antidepressant category. Some real common ones too, used over a long period of time. How about these? Elavil, an old standard, and certainly used in a chronic way over many, many, many years. Celexa, Norpramin, Cinequan. Here's a new one, Cymbalta. You see that advertisement every night? Lexapro, Prozac, Tofranil, Pamelor, and that pretty much would end up rounding out that category. Because they have a mind-altering component to them anyway, they probably already should be suspected. But beyond that, they have anticholinergic properties, and so are already associated with MCI, which is an acronym for mild cognitive impairment. How about this? Muscle relaxants, Soma. People who have pain and muscle pain and take these medicines over a long period of time, and as they advance in age continue to take them, should be suspected when memory loss issues hit. Soma, Paraffin Forte, Flexeril, Robaxin, Norflex, and many, many others. Another category, remember there were 17 categories, antiarrhythmic, Digox, and procainamide, quinidine in that category. How about these antiemetics, things like Compazine and Tygan? That category of meds would have those as a representative. What other category? Well, now we're getting into some pretty heavyweight items. You always have to suspect the antipsychotic meds, things like Thorazine, Zyprexa, Seroquel, Melorel, and the list goes on and on and on. Hey folks, there are, as it turns out, a whole bunch of things to explore when memory loss issues take to the forefront. It's not always, as it turns out to be, the early expression of an Alzheimer's patient, even though it could very well be, but the persons themselves deserve a shot of being allowed to, let's say, wake up, and combining chronicity and many of those meds, especially, I mean, there's one category that really just jumps out at you. It's got to be the category of the antacids. Tagamet, Pepsid, Axid, Zantac. How? And now every single one of those is found in an over-the-counter, which, by the way, Nexium, which isn't over-the-counter, the new purple one, you know, would be just as incriminating as any of those over-the-counters. But to think that somebody who would be chronically taking Pepsid or Tagamet or Zantac could have their memory loss issues tied to them and could have them reversed by simply discontinuing that medication, over-the-counter as it may be. I think those of you who are listening to me today who have the relatives that you're concerned about, this sounds like the first step, the easiest step to take in order to intervene. I hope you enjoyed having me bring that to you. I sort of will put this on the side of my desk, and I'll always be on the lookout for them. And as I learn something, I pass it on to you, and now go and discuss. Hey, a quick knock on the door as we're coming up on the gun lap. Come on in the store. Hello, and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Hey, Dr. Courtney, Jared here. I know we don't have much time. Quick question. You piqued my interest with the antihistamines and the effect on brain function. I've been having conversations of late with a coworker who's having a lot of problems with anxiety and panic attacks. And he historically has spent the past 10, 15 years on antihistamines for anywhere 9 months to 12 months a year. Varies, but prescription antihistamines. And I'm wondering, and I commented on that, and he also complained about intestinal disruption, problems and so on.
Sure.
Since these panic attacks have started to occur in the past 2 years. And they're getting worse on him, and he sought out medical attention. He's had blood work, he's had various things with a regular medical doctor. They tell him he's healthy as a horse. I'm just wondering, and I commented to him that I thought he should stop the antihistamines and see if that helps. He did stop them in November, but it doesn't seem to have helped. But it could be a residual impact on his liver and whether or not that's affecting the hormonal balances and so on.
Well, you're thinking right. You're thinking right. You're giving him every benefit of the doubt. The medicines I bring to your attention today, I'm saying to you that the conventional doctor is not thinking that these are implicated or implicatable in memory loss. I'm not so sure that panic disorder and memory loss are equal in terms of, but nonetheless, I would, because there's an anticholinergic component to every one of these that I've mentioned to you today, and that interrupts the neurological impulse in some way, it would be a good place to start, and I commend you for it. The doctors should be thinking of this first, and they're not. And so it would take somebody like you to do it, okay?
All right, maybe a future show on anxiety. It seems I've run into a lot of people that are on anti-anxiety medications lately the last few years. And might be a topic for a future show.
I will take it up. Thank you so much for your call. Well, folks, there are bongos in the background signaling our time out of here. Look, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll be looking forward to seeing you on Monday. The Mr. Diabetes Man is going to be here with us talking about his shoes and all the other paraphernalia that goes along. If you are a diabetic, if you know one, you want to have him pay attention to the show on Monday. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.
AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Courtney, Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724